is Matthew Honor, and I did my personal interest project on virtual reality in education. So, the what? What really is virtual reality? Well, virtual reality is an artificial environment that is created with software and presented to the user in such a way that the user suspends belief and accepts it as a real environment. On a computer, virtual reality is primarily experienced through two of the five senses, sight and sound. And that's according to whatis.com. And so essentially what virtual reality boils down to is a headset that somebody can put on, such as the picture in the example, and it will essentially block out most of the senses, leaving the user embedded in a new environment. So, which brings me to the how. So how does it do it? Well, it brings in multiple senses. So rather than just watching a video where the only thing you're really getting is you're watching a video, virtual reality really takes away all of your other senses. So the only thing that you can focus on is the experience, which really helps to bring apart this idea that you're actually there, which brings me to the fact that it's immersive. So rather than just watching a video or listening to someone speak, you feel a part of this environment because it blocks out your senses and really makes you focus and key in on this. It really does wonders to immerse you in the environment that it's trying to do. And that's an example of one that somebody's not wearing, where it may not bring apart that sound aspect, but it does the same thing of blocking out your sight and just making you focus in on one thing and really putting you into an environment. So that all sounds nice, but why would we do this? Well, it's great for something like homework mini lessons, where a student may be learning something about like the Amazon River, and if they have to write a 5-sentence paragraph on what the Amazon River is like, they can Google it and get a couple secondhand thoughts on what the Amazon's like, or they can fly to the Amazon and look at the river and come back and tell you what they saw, or they can throw on a virtual reality headset and they can essentially experience the Amazon firsthand without ever having to get out of their seats. So that's something that'll really help improve on the visual learning aspect of what something really is if they can't actively see it. This could go huge for the deaf and hard of hearing. If somebody's hard of hearing, they can put on the virtual reality headset. Maybe it plays it louder than you can yell in the classroom, and it'll help them understand and hear without ever falling behind. And for the deaf, if you record a screencast beforehand of what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be teaching in class, and you could play that for them in the headset with something like subtitles so they could read as you go. I think that could be huge. Another huge thing is virtual reality classes. So rather than students coming into school and then moving from classroom to classroom to classroom all throughout the day, they can come to one classroom, sit down, put on their virtual reality headsets, and they can just stay in the same classroom as their teachers teach all of the classes. And so all of these students can kind of experience a lesson without ever having to move, because a lot of issues in schools come in the hallway. So if we can eliminate that and just have virtual reality classes, that's something that could really, really be nice. And personally, I think this one's a little further away, not quite on the cusp of where we're at right now, but it's still something to consider, something that could definitely come into implementation later. And I think one of the biggest things that virtual reality can do in a classroom is field trips. So students who may never get a chance to have a good field trip, where if they're learning about, in biology, different kinds of animals and species and the difference between them, a field trip that would be nice for them is taking a trip to the zoo, but it may be difficult to organize 50 people, get them on the bus, get them back, get them all safe. And so it may be less tempting for a school to okay a field trip, but a virtual reality field trip where all the students are on their headset and they experience the zoo without ever having to leave their seats could be something that could be really, really big for a lot of students. So rather than maybe taking one or no field trips in a year, they end up taking 4 or 5, which could be really nice for them. Now, a lot of people would look at this and say, well, is this just a fad? Is this something that's going to come and go? Well, since 2012, VR startups have raised more than $1.46 billion in venture capital. And $1.46 billion is a huge amount of money over any amount of time, let alone only 4 years. So people are obviously interested in investing in this. And VR markets are expected to grow to a $15.9 billion industry by 2019. Citi also anticipates the market for hardware, networks, software, and content will reach $200 billion by the year 2020. So people are obviously interested in this. This is not something that's going to go away. So, though it may be a buzz term in education circles, don't assume that AR is just another fad. After all, profound learning occurs when students create, share, interact, and explain. Now, that's something really important to me. Just like how when cell phones started to come around, and at first nobody saw one in a classroom, as they became more and more popular, you can't get them out of the classroom. And this is something that I think may happen with virtual reality. As it becomes more and more profound, it's going to come through. So, it's important to try and embrace it and use it as a tool rather than shun it. So one of the really important things that students are going to be able to do is create, share, interact, and explain. I think that's really important. They can create and share with people who they may have never been able to have the chance to before. Previously, they were limited to what they had in the classroom. They could share it with all of their classmates, and that was about it. But now, with something like virtual reality, they can have a conference with somebody across the ocean in England, and they can have a conversation, and they can share ideas and display what they've been working on to people all across the world in a setting that they feel like they're actively right there talking to them. So it's something that could go really a long way for a lot of students. A couple more details. Headset prices, the cheapest of the cheap, come at around $20. So this isn't something that it's a $400 immediate down payment for school. So it's actually relatively cost efficient. It can be paired with 3D printers where a student can see what's going on and see what they're printing and get a really good tactile feel for it before ever actually doing it. And it's also huge for differentiated instruction. So students who may have trouble with one thing may find solace in a virtual reality setting. Now, this is a sample virtual reality field trip, and I think this is really nice and really well done. It really goes a long way to showing exactly what a virtual reality field trip can be. And this was even created a long time ago, so it's still not even quite up to the quality of where we're at right now.
The story of the trees collectively growing towards the sun.
There you go.
The story of the river bending and changing.
So this isn't even really up to the quality of where we're at right now, but it just goes to show how important this could be. Now, with this as a headset on, would help to block out a lot of what the students were trying to see before, and really just give them all the information that we're trying to teach them.